The Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni situation has officially crossed the line from quiet tension to full-blown Hollywood warfare, and the latest developments are turning this into one of the most talked about celebrity legal battles in years. What began as behind-the-scenes discomfort on the set of It Ends With Us has now exploded into leaked texts, unsealed court documents, aggressive legal strategies, and some very famous names getting pulled into the chaos. And with every new detail that surfaces, the story only gets more complicated and more revealing, because this isn't just about one movie anymore. It's about power, reputation, control, and what really happens when Hollywood smiles crack. At the center of it all is Blake Lively, who has now made it clear she is not stepping back quietly. According to her legal team, she plans to be the key witness in the case against her former co-star and director, Justin Baldoni. That alone signals how serious this has become, because when a major A-list actress puts herself front and center in a trial like this, it usually means she believes the evidence speaks for itself. But to understand how things reached this point, you have to go back to the set of It Ends With Us. Behind the romantic marketing and polished press appearances, tensions were quietly building. Blake has alleged that during filming, boundaries were repeatedly crossed, particularly during scenes involving intimacy and childbirth. One of the most disturbing claims centers on a birth scene that Blake says left her feeling exposed, humiliated, and pressured into simulated nudity she never agreed to. According to her testimony, she requested a standard hospital gown for the scene. Instead, she claims the production pushed for far more exposure, including long hours on set, minimal coverage, and non-essential crew members present while she was in an extremely vulnerable position. Blake has described the experience as violating, not just uncomfortable. She also alleges that the situation was made worse by the presence of people she felt had no reason to be there, including friends of Baldoni and financial backers visiting the set on the day the scene was filmed. Those claims are a major foundation of her lawsuit, which accuses Baldoni and others involved in the production of sexual harassment and retaliation. Justin Baldoni, for his part, has strongly denied all allegations. His legal team argues that the scenes were part of the source material, that intimacy coordinators were available, and that this was ultimately a creative disagreement, not misconduct. They insist the film required emotionally and physically intense moments, and that none of it crossed legal or ethical lines. But a judge overseeing the case has already pushed back on the idea that these were just small issues, making it clear that many minor incidents can collectively add up to something much more serious. And while the courtroom arguments continue, the story took a dramatic turn when sealed text messages were suddenly made public. That's when the situation truly went nuclear. Unsealed court documents revealed private messages between Blake Lively and one of the most powerful celebrities on the planet, Taylor Swift. And once those texts surfaced, public attention shifted fast. In one widely discussed message, Taylor harshly criticized Baldoni in a way that immediately went viral. But insiders say focusing on that one line misses the bigger picture entirely, because those texts weren't just gossip. They revealed the emotional toll this entire situation was taking behind the scenes. In the messages, Blake checked in with Taylor, sensing distance between them as the legal drama intensified. She expressed vulnerability, concern, and a desire to make sure their friendship was still solid. Taylor, in turn, admitted feeling exhausted and overwhelmed, not just by the situation, but by the emotional weight surrounding it. What stood out wasn't just what was said, but how it was said. The messages showed long, thoughtful responses, accountability on both sides, and a level of honesty that's rarely seen when celebrity friendships are exposed. Rather than explosive fighting, the text revealed strain, pressure, and the quiet emotional fallout that comes when a scandal grows bigger than anyone expects. But those same documents also revealed something else, that Taylor wasn't just a passive observer. According to Blake's deposition, Taylor had been sent script drafts, weighed in on creative changes, and was present during key moments where Baldoni's role in the film was discussed. Blake has claimed Taylor supported her version of the film and backed her perspective during a critical meeting. That directly contradicts later claims from Taylor's team that she was unknowingly pulled into the situation and didn't take sides. And that contradiction raised eyebrows across Hollywood. Then came another surprise twist: Ryan Reynolds stepping into the conversation. Private text messages between Ryan Reynolds and his talent agent were also unsealed, and they revealed deep concern about what he believed was a coordinated online narrative targeting Blake. In those messages, Reynolds compared the situation to another infamous celebrity legal battle, the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard case. He questioned whether Baldoni was attempting to shape public perception before all the facts came out, warning that once the full truth surfaced, the fallout could be massive. That comparison alone sent shockwaves through celebrity media, because invoking that case instantly reframes everything, not just as a legal dispute, but as a war over public opinion, digital narratives, and reputations that can be permanently damaged. Reynolds also expressed frustration over what he saw as silence from Baldoni and others involved, questioning why no one had stepped forward to publicly address the growing concerns on set. And while Baldoni later filed a massive countersuit against Blake and Ryan, accusing them of extortion and defamation, that countersuit was ultimately dismissed by a judge, dealing a significant blow to his legal strategy. Now, with that countersuit gone, the focus has shifted back entirely to Blake's claims. Her lawyers say they have mountains of evidence. They insist this case is not about creative control, ego, or clashing personalities, but about workplace boundaries and retaliation. Meanwhile, Baldoni's team continues to fight for dismissal, arguing there simply isn't enough evidence for the case to go before a jury. The judge has not yet ruled, and that's where things stand, at least for now, because as this case moves closer to trial, more documents are expected to surface, more private conversations could be revealed, and the list of famous names connected to this feud may continue to grow. And just when it seems like the story couldn't get any bigger, the legal timeline, courtroom strategy, and next major turning points are now coming into focus. As the legal battle inches closer to trial, the strategy on both sides has become just as fascinating as the accusations themselves, because now this isn't only about what happened on set, it's about how each side believes the story should be told, who gets to tell it, and what version the public ultimately accepts. One of the biggest developments came when Blake's legal team made it clear that she will personally take the stand. That decision alone changes everything. In high-profile Hollywood cases, it's not uncommon for stars to stay behind the scenes and let lawyers do the talking. Blake Lively is doing the opposite. Her attorneys have stated plainly that she will be the key witness, the central voice, and that sends a very strong message. It suggests confidence, it suggests preparation, and it suggests that her team believes her testimony will be compelling enough to withstand intense cross-examination. At the same time, her lawyers have also confirmed that neither Ryan Reynolds nor Taylor Swift are expected to testify. That detail is important because it signals a strategic narrowing of focus. Rather than turning the trial into a celebrity circus, Blake's side appears determined to keep the attention on her experience, her claims, and the working environment on that set. Justin Baldoni's team, meanwhile, has taken a very different approach. They have consistently framed the dispute as a creative conflict, one fueled by artistic disagreement, clashing visions, and a film that dealt with emotionally heavy and intimate subject matter. According to their argument, intimacy was built into the story from the start, and the presence of sexual or romantic scenes alone does not equal harassment. In court, Baldoni's lawyers have argued that what Blake describes as misconduct were, in their view, misunderstandings or creative decisions that fall within the normal scope of filmmaking. They've also pushed back hard against the idea that he retaliated against her, insisting that he was simply defending himself once accusations became public. But that framing has not gone unchallenged. During hearings, the judge has repeatedly questioned whether it's realistic to dismiss multiple complaints as insignificant when taken together. The suggestion has been clear. Individual moments might seem small on their own, but patterns matter. And then there's the issue of retaliation. Blake's team claims that once she began raising concerns, her working relationship with Baldoni deteriorated rapidly. They argue that she was subtly sidelined, that tensions escalated behind the scenes, and that a campaign began to undermine her credibility, both within the production and publicly. That allegation has become one of the most critical pieces of the case, because if retaliation can be proven, the legal consequences grow significantly. This is where the destroyed messages and missing communications have become a major point of contention. Blake's lawyers have accused Baldoni's side of deleting messages through auto-delete features, arguing that potential evidence was lost. They've even requested sanctions, claiming that the absence of those messages should carry legal consequences. Baldoni's team has denied wrongdoing, but the judge has acknowledged that the issue raises serious questions. And while the courtroom drama unfolds, the public narrative continues to shift, often dramatically. When the unsealed text first dropped, online reaction exploded in every direction. Some focused on the language used. Others questioned loyalty between friends. Some accused Blake of leveraging powerful connections. Others defended her for speaking out in an industry long criticized for protecting those in power. And that's the uncomfortable truth at the heart of this feud. It's tapping into a much bigger conversation about consent, influence, celebrity power, and what accountability looks like when everyone involved has something to lose. For Blake, the stakes are enormous. She's not just risking public scrutiny, she's putting her credibility, career, and personal life under a microscope. Every text, every on-set decision, every interview from the past is now being re-examined through a new lens. For Baldoni, the risk is equally severe. A case like this can permanently alter how someone is viewed in Hollywood. Even without a verdict, the damage to reputation can be lasting, especially when accusations involve workplace conduct. That's why both sides are fighting so aggressively over how this story is framed, and that's also why comparisons to past celebrity trials keep surfacing. Ryan Reynolds' private texts referencing the Depp-Heard case weren't accidental. They reflected a fear shared by many in Hollywood, that once a narrative takes hold online, it can become almost impossible to control. Facts get buried, timelines blur, and public opinion often hardens long before a judge ever speaks. Interestingly, Baldoni reportedly brought in crisis PR professionals early on, a move that further fueled speculation about narrative management rather than simple legal defense. His team insists this was about protecting the film and responding to false accusations. Critics argue it suggests anticipation of reputational fallout, and the film itself, It Ends With Us, has become an almost forgotten casualty in all of this. Once positioned as a major romantic drama, the movie is now inseparable from the controversy surrounding it. Audience discussions shifted from performances and themes to behind-the-scenes power struggles. Promotional efforts were overshadowed, cast relationships were scrutinized, even who followed whom on social media became part of the story. Several cast and crew members reportedly distanced themselves from Baldoni during the fallout, unfollowing him and avoiding public association. That quiet distancing spoke volumes, even without public statements. But silence cuts both ways. Baldoni supporters argue that the lack of public defense from others doesn't equal guilt. They point out that Hollywood often avoids controversy entirely, regardless of the truth, and that's exactly why this case now feels so unpredictable. There's no clear villain, no clean hero, just conflicting accounts, emotional testimony, and a legal process that hasn't yet delivered answers. What is clear is that the next phase will be decisive. The trial date is set, the evidence is being argued, and both sides appear unwilling to settle quietly. As more filings become public, additional private messages may surface, more behind-the-scenes details could emerge, and depending on how the judge rules on pending motions, this case could either end abruptly or explode into one of the most closely watched celebrity trials in recent memory. Hollywood has seen scandals before, but this one hits differently because it isn't just about fame. It's about who gets believed, who gets protected, and who pays the price when the cameras turn off. And as Blake Lively prepares to speak directly to a jury, not through texts, not through headlines, but under oath, the question looming over everything is simple. When all the noise fades, what version of the truth will remain standing?